I was suggesting putting money in for the line of credit, or the amount of money that the auditors were suggesting you have.
The problem is
Can we budget for that for next year to get it in there?
we'll have to see where it goes.
Last time you presented us three options.
Yeah.
One was to continue to use the remaining 85. Another option, and just borrow some more. The other option was to close it out and borrow on a whole new note what we needed, and then I forgot what the third option was.
The third option was if we wouldn't have used the 273 for the Farmer bill, it's issued a 459.
That's what we voted on last time, was to pay the 273.
Correct. So we are to here so far, 150, 92, and 273, 274. Right? So the resulting debt service is going to be this 172 amount over here. Yeah. We've got essentially two options. One would be draw the other 85 and 101 to get to 185. Or leave the 85 undrawn and take 185 over 5 years for January. So the estimated total payment in either one of those cases is $786,478 if we borrow 185, and it's $785,647. So we're literally within $800 total payment at the closeout of either one or both of those. So the total impact cost to the town is negligible. It's $800.
Are there closing costs on?
Included in both. Well, this one, origination fees here and origination in the other one, yes. So what it comes down to is structure of the annual amount due and what that looks like.
Is there a fee for us to cancel the one, not draw the 85? There's no penalty draws.
No, we just close it out sooner. So in that case,
Are they both the same interest rate?
no, the new, a 5-year loan would be at 5.5.
Okay.
So again, this is draw 85, borrow 101. Total due in 26 goes up by $9 grand, $8 grand, whatever that is. My mind's starting to flake on me. The year after that, it comes back down to essentially what we paid in 2025. Then these are the annual payments for this, right? The total payment overall for 26 goes to 199, 191, 182, 23, 23, and then that 5-year note's paid off. So this is the big break between using the rest of that line of credit. Okay. Trying to get this in here where you can see it all and see it all. The other option puts us where we go to 215. 215, 206, and then it loses 113, 43, 43. So again, it's within $800 of the same overall total cost that we're paying. It's not like one of them is, like when we looked at borrowing 2 years ago, it was like one doubled the cost and one was 2/3 the cost kind of thing. This is legitimately the structure of the debt service over the next 5 years is to me the point of what the debate should be centered around.
Well, that looks much better, even though you're paying a little more to begin with, then it drops way down.
What it would, in my own mind, in my own opinion, is that it would restrict the next 2 years worth of road work to things like chip sealing and crack filling. Because we're going up, if we're using that target of $250,000 a year as just a number, whether it's debt service or we're paying as we go, right? That whole theory, if we go from 165 to 215, in my own personal opinion, that 50 grand difference is not available to do work, because we're paying for work we've done.
This Hooper Road, what kind of construction,
Josh will
It'd
tell
be
you.
about $150,000.
process,
So pulverize and repave.
Pulverizing.
not chips.
Correct.
So with what you just said, year 3 before we could get to Hooper Road.
If we borrow the 185 here, yes. If you look at the other one, and we go, you know, we're up 25 grand between the 165 and 192 at year 2. Because the other thing we can do is in November of this year is apply for outlet grant funding again and start that cycle over again and potentially get funding to look at a 27th project for Hooper. But we pretty much know that somewhere between $100,000 currently, $100,000 borrowed is about 24 grand in debt service, and 185 borrowed is 44. So let's just pick a number and say $150,000 is going to be 35 grand in debt service. If we were to borrow money for Hooper, like we borrowed money for Tamarack, and start this cycle of being able, I know borrowing is a scary thought potentially, but if you set it up so that your annual payment is $45,000 a year, you can legitimately have 3 projects that you're paying for at the same point in time for the same amount of money, rather than saving for 5 years and dumping all of it, and saving for 5 years and dumping all of it. You can start chipping off some of the stuff a little at a time. So the cheapest annual increase, if you want to look at it that way, would be to draw the other 85 and then issue a note for 101. Because it doesn't spike that debt service payment. You know what I'm saying, where we go up to 215 and then come back down to 194.
What are we gonna do for roads next year? What's your plan? You do some chip sealing next year or something, or?
We could definitely find $40,000 worth of work. Right now, I've got about 25 in my head that we absolutely could do. And the other balance of it, quite frankly, with what we've done, or what we've seen this year, is we could spend $15,000 on shoulder maintenance like that, and get rid of.
And another thing, that culvert,
Correct.
that's 9 grand to us. It's the culvert, it's going to Dolan,
Piper, right. So, to keep that annual amount somewhat static, instead of going all the way up the hill and then falling all the way back off, to keep that annual cost somewhat static, drawing the 85 and doing the 101 would be the option to do that. If we want to try to open up a bigger window, doing it this way, or build in some of that, you know, the line of credit, whether the line of credit, it's not cash on hand, so it's not fund balance, but it's available one way or the other. You know, so there's pros and cons on either side of that discussion.
Take the 85, borrow 105,000 bucks, 102,000 bucks, right? And pay it off for a 5-year loan. That's what you're saying?
That would be the least annual increase scenario, yes.
What do you think of that? Is that your pick?
I think it opens up some more options because it's another $15,000 worth of work on an annual basis that we can put cash to input right off the bat, rather than restricting it. You know, stuff's expensive, so if you get to a point where you got $50,000 to use across a handful of things, or you've got 35, you might have to delay a project another year for the extra 15 grand you don't have, or put it forward to 27. Right? And this is all based on theoretical projections of having no idea how this 40 is really going to play into a ton of this. So to me, keeping that first year lower annual cost is probably more important, given the gigantic variable that's sitting on the table, than to pay it off, I'll say sooner, it's not really sooner, but to go to 215 and come back down. And that wasn't my opinion 6 weeks ago when we started talking about this, because I had no concept that they were gonna go to $1 million budget. I was anticipating they were gonna get 850 and do numbers backwards and everything else, and I would have recommended 6 weeks ago to borrow 85 and leave the 85 there.
I'll make a motion that we or use up the 85,000 that's left on the $600,000 note. Borrow 105,000, pay it off in 5 years. Did I say that right, Josh? Okay. For a second.
I would second that.
Motion's been made, borrow, or use up the 85, borrow 105, pay it off in 5 years. Is there any further discussion?
You're assuming that over the next 5 years, we're not gonna have to borrow more. aren't you?
I'm actually not assuming that.
So if we're assuming we will have to, how does that factor into this whole equation?
So, that's a very good question. I guess my answer would be is if everybody is comfortable, this is a theoretical thing. If people are comfortable with $215,000 a year in debt service, we generally know that we can afford $15,000 worth of debt service payment, that we can be somewhere near $75,000 a year of new debt service and still be at that 215 total. Did I explain that to a point that it makes any logical sense?
Yeah, that's what the limits.
I
mean, we don't know what's gonna happen
correct.
in a given year. I mean, if you take whether it's the 180 something, or the 215 or 219, whatever it is, 215.
Yep.
And then you have to borrow another 200,000, that's another 150, whatever it is. On top of that, all of a sudden you have 3 years in a row, you have these things stacked, and all of a sudden you're paying half of it. 400,000, whatever.
I think this makes sense to do now, but I would tell you people, and some of you are aware, I get calls, I get stopped, when are you gonna take care of this, when are you gonna take care of that? I try to tell people, we're using the money the best we can, nobody's wasting your money. Our hands can be tied, we can only spend so much. But I will tell you, I was out to the lake today, I got 2 attaboys for people, one of them I never thought I'd ever get it out on all 3 of us. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Let's take a roll, please.
Roll call vote, yeah.
Martins,
Nay.
Sauter,
Aye.
Kayasky,
Motion carried. What's the next thing now? How to pay, Payne and Dolan, which I've already mentioned. How do you want to pay that?
So again, the amount to be split would be $103,162.57 to Payne and Dolan. The remaining amount goes to the county.
Say those numbers again, sorry.
$103,162.57. That's the HMA cost.
That's coming out of what?
That's coming out of a combination of the 85,000 that's left in the line of credit.
That's the 10.
And, correct, and whatever else would be necessary out of the 105 to pay off the remainder of the Payne and Dolan amount, then 75,000 that the county bill is gonna be, would be the remaining balance of that 105 note.
Okay, but for now, what's the balance in the checkbook? 300, 260, 250?
Last I looked at it was 249, but I think we might have written a check to Northwest for about 5,600.
Okay, so let's call it, we have 230 in the checkbook for right now, okay? And so we certainly can pay 100 and where's that figure again?
103.
103,000 to them, but you and I then will work on getting that note loan, whatever you wanna call it, just like before, get that money, but I think we need to pay the bill now. Do you think so, Gilman?
I would agree that because the draw amount, play a number of games with Michelle, I don't know, whatever it was I talked to you. If we're running 50 grand a month in payables, which let's just use that as an average ballpark, we've got enough in checking to be able to pay the 103 and 50 on top, and we've still got technically another month's worth of average invoices to come in, which would be October. However, October is also when we have the $50,000 payment to the village, so we would end up getting super squeaky tight.
But we also got some other money coming in then, those times too, some.
Well, we just have the big amount we're getting.
I know the big one.
About, before the end of the year, we get 62,000 for something. I believe that's, I can't remember what shared revenue, and then we got 10,000. I looked it up, I don't have it in front of me. We've got a little bit of money, but our money is running out of protect.
We have some resolution, borrow that money yet, whatever morning.
Yes, we have to adopt a resolution, which we can do.
Okay, so that we better get on for the next agenda.
What's the payment terms?
Go ahead, Dolan.
It's net 30,
And when did we get the bill?
about 2.5 weeks ago.
It's actually funny because it went to the address of the credit card.
Yeah. It's old work.
So, to that point, in the interim, we can pay Payne and Dolan out of our checking. Okay? We can pay our September bills, I'm assuming, out of the checking. We can work on the September meeting, getting a borrowing resolution put together. We can then get that paperwork started. Or start it now and officialize the signing of it with the resolution and final authorization of signatures, that kind of thing. And then sometime between the September meeting and the October meeting, evaluate where the checking is at, number one, and number two, potentially then draw the 84,000 and change, put it in the checking to pay the October bills if we're still waiting on the 105 for the county part of it. Because we still don't have an invoice from the county, because it's actually technically not done yet. They've got topsoil and work to do at 2 different addresses, so we're not.
Oh, really? Maybe we talk to Payne and Dolan and see if they'd be willing to give us an extra 30 days on the payment terms. That would take us into October.
So, we can. The turnaround with that is that we are not eligible for the LRIP reimbursement until we have proof of payment.
Wait, we gotta pay that.
And then we have to submit the proof of payment and the paperwork to get the 2-month turnaround, so it's gonna be right at the end of.
I agree, based on that, I agree.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to pay the $103,162.57 out of the checkbook to Payne and Dolan at this time. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. No, roll call vote. Money, roll call, go ahead.
Kowalski,
Aye.
Martins,
Aye.
Sauter.
Aye. Motion carried. Gentlemen, good nice talking to you tonight. Got the next part, so.
Do you wanna continue through, I mean, the numbers that,
No, we're not
Let's
adjourned.
finish going through, we're halfway through the expenses, let's finish that.
so we left off at auditor, which is 51,500-1. Yep, more or less the assessor, we've got a quarterly payment that's due to them, I think that comes up in the month, that's December. But we're right on track with that. We'll have to adjust.
What's that stuff?
Numbers in 13,500.
The bank.
Very good.
We do have that signed with them.
You're not gonna carry all this, look.
So that's that part of it. Bonds and insurance will pay out through the year, I believe, right? We only make one annual payment for insurance.
We do, we did get a bill for $111 that hasn't been paid yet for a bond.
You're not gonna save for the rest, Bonnie?
You going to the airport?
I gotta go to that one.
What's on,
So now,
are you done taping here?
now I know,
What's on the, I don't even know what's on the agenda. And it's not a big deal, we should finish this. Have we posted that there might be a forum over there
It's on every agenda.
for the airport?
I'm gonna leave it.
I'm gonna let you read it while I'm wrapping up.
When?
I don't know what the $111 bond is for. It looks valid, but I stuck it in the file to see what kind of bond is it. It might be on me, I'm not sure.
oh, could be.
It didn't identify what kind of bond it was.
What bill did they get from the board?
Regarding review services for the hangar and the stormwater. It's a continuation of the debacle in 2023.
You talking over here or over here?
Over there.
Over there. Alright.
So you wanna hear a funny story?
Yeah, let's get done.
You wanna hear a funny story?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
If it's quick.
So, my wife ordered for a client, ordered white bottles. They're pre-filled with mineral enriched bottles or water, right? White bottles. 17 cases of these showed up, and they didn't want them back. Got 17 cases, 240 some bottles of water.
Painted
Yeah,
with empty.
no, they come shipped full. So, yeah, like, how the hell are we doing with all this?
And it's like mineral water.
It's like electrolyte water, sorry.
How does it taste?
It tastes like the inside of an aluminum bottle, to be honest with you.
Alright.
So, insurance. Not sure if we could query the insurance company and get our renewal rate for 23 yet, but that may be something. If anybody, I don't have a contact for the insurance rep, but
And an email. We communicate with Robbie usually forwards it to me.
would you be willing to reach out to see if there's a 26 renewal price?
You mean, are they raising our rates for 26?
Yeah.
Do we wanna poke the bear?
Well, they should be able to give us a renewal.
I've always felt like whenever you call a supplier and say, hey, are we getting a price increase this year?
Then they will.
And then, well,
So if we want to increase this by 5% over the budget and call it,
I think we do that and not poke the bear.
Yeah.
Just my personal opinion.
why don't we make that be 500, make it at least.
For 26, you mean?
Yeah, make that around there. Mileage and reimbursement right now,
Do we have anybody, is anybody going anywhere, Michelle, for the rest of the year?
Not that I know of. Oh, Frank just turned in a mileage, he's been driving to a Commonwealth and picking up signs, so he just turned in a mileage to be reimbursed next meeting. It's minimal, $30 or something like that.
Have fun.
yeah, me too.
Thanks.
I don't know if we just want
But no, I'm not going anywhere.
to keep that at 1,500 for next year.
I didn't see.
Payroll tax. This is one of the audit entries, and this we debated about in 23 to start with, is that the amount that we paid out is indeed $5,100, but half of that is the employer cost, because the other half is taken out of our check. So realistically, this is actually $2,550 of employer cost, and it's one of the adjusted journal entries that gets thrown around on the 13th. So I think we're still gonna be, I mean, realistically, then we're at 55% of the budget for the year, so I think we're gonna be okay. still okay-ish there. Highway and street right now is pretty low, but we did vote a meeting ago to take money out of the ice and snow account and put it towards what is gonna be highway and street maintenance, which was the shoulder repairs on South Shore Drive and out on Marsh Road.
How much? I mean, how much did we take out of the ice and snow, because we still have, potentially 2 months, 2.5 months of potential snow.
Yes.
But we've got an extra 105,000 in there, so.
8, 9, 90, $300, I think.
I was thinking it was 3 or 4.
So what we did last year is we estimated $33,000 worth of ice and snow for the October to December. That actually started when we started the budget process, we estimated 50, and the closer we got towards the middle of October, the more we pared that back. So I don't know if you want to put in a $50,000 placeholder
Where?
for October to December estimate, which would put us at 105 of the 160.
Sure. Well, let's just say, we get very little snow for the balance of this year, through December.
Yep.
And let's say it only ends up at a total of 90.
Mhm.
Okay, that's 70,000 extra dollars we have in the budget. Can that money then be redirected to our road, taking care of roads?
Or it could be allocated to fund balance to try to build that 90 to 160.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, let's pray for.
Which is essentially what we did in,
Yeah.
I think, February or March when we did budget, I think.
So mowing, right, so mowing, they're mowing now, so that number will go up.
It will, twice. So right now, they have a mental budget of about $9,500, which is gonna get them,
22.
correct, which is gonna leave them about 11 grand to do the fall mowing.
Oh, this current mowing is 90s. Okay, gotcha. I thought you meant the rest of it.
No.
Okay. All right, perfect, okay.
Yep.
That should put us real close to the number,
Correct.
okay?
Patching,
No over.
well over, and
Is there any more room?
should not be unless something explodes.
Okay.
But I think for 2026, we need to look at putting that number closer to that $25,000 to $30,000 number rather than 15 and 20. So I'm just gonna say 25 over there.
Especially if we slow down on the road.
But at the same point, the good news is with chip sealing 8 miles of road this year, hopefully 2-3 years from now, we stave off that escalating cost. Highway and street construction, this is the remaining payment. I'm gonna put in $185,000 for the October to December estimate. Cause that's Tamarack Road, that's what we have left, that's what we just talked about, the 70 something for the county and the 103. Next year, we'll just leave that for a different day. Tree service and emergency management are kind of twofold at this point. I'm anticipating that when we get invoices from Northwest for closing Highland Road again 2 weeks ago, that some of that will be directed into this emergency management fund, or technically. Tree service, we're about halfway through the budget. We have not specified a specific project to do. Again, the hope was you budget 50, you use what you need to for the first half of the year, scope the project, and then do it in the fall, anticipating that you now know what the weather from the summer and tree taking over and whatever. So as we get closer here, I think for the grand discussion of this, we should just put the 25.
We'll know more by the time we get to the end of October. much like that other, this other one where you said we compare it back.
Okay, so
We'll go on this as well, if we've had any bad storms, because then the snow,
yes,
you know what I'm saying, that
Yeah.
the snow removal and the tree service go hand in hand, because if we get a lot of snow, there's gonna be trees down, if we don't get a lot of snow, and no thunderstorms or lightning, whatever, then. So, yeah,
so for the time being, I'm gonna put 25 grand in here as a placeholder, because I know the discussion at budget was, we're gonna start chopping some of this back.
Yep.
The line after that, which is the emergency management piece, when we budgeted the 50 grand for 25, the theory was fund it once, and if you use 15, then you replace it the year after with 15, but you're still keeping that 50. End of your point of fund balance allocation and everything else. So to make this number somewhat easier to play with, I'm gonna put in $829, there's $929.
okay,
To get the year-end estimate at 15.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna put in the 26 that we're gonna fund $15,000 of that back rather than 50, because we theoretically still have 35 sitting in fund balance to be able to apply that. Follow where I'm going. We budgeted 50 with it being a reciprocal fund at some point, so if we use 15, then this should, these two numbers, whatever this ends up at, if it's.
yeah, we've gotta talk about more of that with Frank and stuff, because Murphy says the minute we put it back to 15, we have something go really bad next year. You know, so I think we have to talk about that a little bit. Well, I understand what you're saying, yes, but do we want to cut it that much for next year? So that could be a yellow one or whatever. we want to make it.
Street lighting, we're at 70% of the budget, so I think we're pretty good there. Airport, this is from earlier, general building electric. In 23, we were at $1,700 for the year. In 24, we were at $2,600. Currently, we're at 23. So just doing rough math, and without counting the number of bills, I think we're at 8 bills. So we'll call it $300 a month.
That includes paying for the airport. I think we have to get much more consistent with getting the airport to pay us for their even sending them a bill every month.
I don't have the figures.
We pick a figure and then pick a figure half. They use that garage more than we use, well, you're here a lot, it still is bigger. So even if we just split it, say if we average 300, you're getting $150 a month bill. Something.
Yeah, they brought over 2 checks, I'm sorry, I can't remember the amounts, but there's no documentation, I don't know how they arrived at it.
And we just come up with a given month number at the beginning of the year that we just say, hey, if you're not gonna get your own thing, then here's what your bill's gonna be. What do you think?
At some level, figure out some kind of something.
But if you see garbage, we have another payment we have to make to them, right?
That's monthly.
Monthly. So that
So
probably
this
is
may be 7. 55, 4, 7.